Hey, good day, fellow deal makers. Welcome to the Deal Scout. This show is all about deals. You're probably going to hear me talk and say the word deals a lot. The purpose and mission, everything we do here on this show is to connect deals and deal makers. That's our revenue model. That's our business model. That's everything we do. So we find cool people who are doing cool deals. We ask their advice. We find out the kind of deals that they're doing, and maybe how do we get better as a deal making community. So on today's show, we're going to have a lot of conversations around video marketing, and we brought in a YouTuber who has hit some massive milestones in his YouTubing career, and wanted to give you some tips on this. So Augie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So we're hanging out at a coffee shop or pub or bar, whatever, and someone walks up to you and they go, "Hey, Augie, who are you?" What do you typically say?
Well, I'm kind of like a serial entrepreneur. Back in 2009, I did that famous Google search that so many people do, where they say how to make money online. I was living in Europe at the time, and that's what brought me to YouTube. Basically, over much money wasted on courses and just other things where I just never found my path. And ever since then, I've been building these little online businesses, trying to provide value. And yeah, so I've done it in the information product digital space, and now we're more of a services with a video editing service and a podcast editing service.
Awesome, man. All right. So first of all, let's start with what the heck were you doing in Europe? How'd you get
Yeah,
over
so
there?
yeah, after I played college basketball. I'm actually the varsity basketball coach here in my hometown. So basketball is one of my passions, and I'm still in it. But anyways, after college, I went and played in Europe professionally. And when I say professionally, don't think I was some big time guy. I was getting paid peanuts. Basically, we're talking about like $1,000 a month, right? Almost like being on scholarship again. And so I didn't have a lot of money, but I had a lot of time. So I did do that Google search. And from there it was just like the rabbit hole, like the first thing I actually learned, had the first dollar that I made online was, I'm not really proud of this, but it was creating like these spammy videos that I would post on YouTube. I'm talking like hundreds of them, right? And it was just like a video that said like, hey, click the link in the description. And then I would drive people to other CPA offers like free teeth whitening kits and building these leads for other businesses. And I actually like made a couple $1,000 doing that. But yeah, that's why I was in Europe. And over there I was in Germany mostly. There's no TV in English, so I was watching a lot of YouTube. And this is back in 2009, 2010. So
Yeah.
YouTube was a little bit different back there, my man. It was 2009. You didn't have these, as much good content, right? The content was really cut and dry, and just, it was the infancy of YouTube. I think it was just, YouTube was just acquired by Google like a year or two before. So yeah, I mean, I've been on YouTube a while. I love YouTube even to this day. I don't watch TV or movies. I watch YouTube. And yeah, so I'm lucky to still be in the space with VidChops, and now we're editing for YouTubers.
Yeah. So how to make money online is probably a search that, I'm 40. So I think anybody who is like graduating in early 2000s and they're kind of like breaking out, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we see this thing called the internet, and we see these people in, Ferraris driving around. And it's just like, here's how to make money, guru, guru, guru. And they took all my money, right?
Yeah.
Because I gave them a lot of money. I went through the courses and I didn't
Yeah.
quite crack the code the way that their programs said, but I made money online in other ways. Did you said, you're making $1,000 a month throwing basketballs and having fun doing that, but then you started making affiliate money, making videos just as much, 1,000 here, 2,000 here.
Yeah.
Like at what point where you're like, I need to get serious about this and there's
Yeah.
some opportunity here?
Yeah. Yeah. So once I saw the money coming in, I eventually was like, okay, this is not sustainable, this like spammy way of doing this. So that's when I started creating the basketball training tutorials. And that's when I launched Baller Bootcamp. That's the YouTube channel that has 200,000 subscribers. And, I learned, I learned through all those courses. And I did, even before I launched Baller Bootcamp, I had a couple products created, right? So I had a lead magnet where, I had my very first video on basketball train channel. I said, hey, at the end, I was like, hey, and if you want a free workout, click the link in the description, head over there, enter your email, and I'll send. So I was set up. I had already done all my education, right? I told you the courses and all that stuff. I knew what I was doing at that point. And, that wasn't until, a few years later, I was on that hamster wheel learning and trying and failing. I tried all kinds of different stuff, and then once I started releasing videos on YouTube, that was probably 2013, 2012. Yeah, I grew that channel big. I grew my email list with that strategy to over 50,000 leads, and I released over 11 products. So I had, the 12-week shooting program, the 12-week ball handling program, and then I got into physical products and I sourced stuff from China, and we had some physical products like some training tools and stuff like that. And it was a full-blown business. I did that full time for a while. Until I kind of got burnt out, and I said, hey, how can we serve these video creators? It's not easy, right? Everyone knows that now. Everyone thinks, oh, the life of a YouTuber, all I need to do is upload videos, shoot them in the morning, upload them. It's easy. But no, it's really hard actually. And so that's when I kind of launched VidChops, instantly had success with it. And I was like, okay, this is the direction I'm headed now.
Yeah, no, it's so true, man. Like creating content is really a lot of work because I don't know about you. I've been making videos. I've been doing podcasts for a really long time. We built a bunch of different brands, and people are like, "Oh, that's so cool. What do you do?" And I'm like, I spend a lot of my time in the past fixing errors, fixing my editing stuff. You'll record for 15 minutes and edit for 2 hours, and then your
Yeah.
production stuff go out, and then you just lose the drive to create more content because for every piece of content I create, it's going to take be 2 hours of work. So that'll burn out a lot of people. Luckily, we found some ways out of it. But you said you got burnt out. Before you got burnt out, you had some things, some milestones that you hit on YouTube that a lot of people will never do. Like, give us an idea of what milestones you hit through YouTube.
Yeah. So, the channel sits at about 200,000 subscribers now. So the biggest milestone was the 100,000 subscribers. That's when you get the play button, and it's just the play button from YouTube, but the milestones there are 100,000, you get the silver, 1 million, you get the gold, and then 10 million subscribers, you get the platinum play button. So that was a big one. But YouTube to me was always just the lead generation machine, right? I knew it because I started uploading to YouTube with 3 or 4 years of grind and learning through courses and learning all that kind of stuff. So I definitely had a plan and stuff when I started YouTube. But yeah, I got 20 million views on there. And the cool thing about creating content, and I didn't even really know this. I thought I would just be making money by selling products and getting some AdSense revenue, but you start to become an authority in the niche, right? So the more views I got, people started hitting me up. People fly me out to different countries. Even I went out to Singapore and trained some players, ran camps in Vegas. I became like this basketball authority. And it was funny because, now I'm going to the gym coaching nowadays even, and I don't upload. My channel gets, still gets like maybe 50,000 views in a month or something, which is okay. But, it was getting like around 500,000 views in its prime. But even today, I'll go, I'm a coach, so I'll go to basketball tournaments and people come up to me, oh, Baller Boot Camp, dude, what are you doing here, man? You're famous. I'm like, well, not really, man. I just actually had the grit to wake up at 6 a.m., go to the gym when it's empty, and convince my wife, girlfriend at the time, to hold the camera. And, that's basically what separates me from a lot of the other trainers that are probably better and working with bigger players, but the content is that valuable that it can turn you into an authority.
Yeah. So you hit some major milestones, but you said you got burnt out. What did it look like? How did your business do when you were starting to burn out? Like, what were some signs of burnout? And then how did the business get affected?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many factors when it comes to burning out. It's a pretty common thing, YouTube burnout. Like if you did a Google search of that, you'd find 1,000 cases of that and just people making videos about it. For me, it was mostly, I would say, because I was a solopreneur all by myself. I didn't have a video editor. I didn't have a copywriter. I didn't have a web designer, didn't have a graphic designer. So I was doing everything. And so imagine, and kind of the name of the game is to create more products. I told you I had 11 products. You have this big email list. You sell to your email list, you're making sales, but you want to have these big launches, right? That's kind of the name of the game. So you can imagine like, okay, I'm releasing one video a week. So I got to get that recorded. I got to get it edited. I got to get it up with the thumbnail, the graphic design. I got to get a blog post created for that. I got to get that on my blog, all that. And then, oh yeah, And I got a new product coming out here in 2 weeks. That's, 70 videos, and I got to somehow get those edited, and people are paying money for this, so they better be good. And so it was all that just put together that I was like, man, I cannot sustain this any longer. I got to get a better computer to edit all these videos. I got to do all this. And I was just kind of like, well, what's next? I'm making, some decent money, full-time income, but in the long run, I was just like, this is not going to work out in the long run. I was plateauing on my views or plateauing. Right. So yeah, that kind of led me to burnout.
Yeah. What are some signs of burnout, right? So, being an entrepreneur, I've been a solopreneur. Now we have a team and such like that. But for me, man, it got lonely, it got dark, and building a business, especially from nothing, is tough as hell. So, what were some signs that you saw in your own life?
Yeah, it's typical procrastination, that kind of stuff. But I think kind of the signs are like I was super excited to like edit a video and get it up and hit that publish button. At the beginning, I was like, every time I'm checking all the comments the first day, I'm waking up in the morning, checking the video, how to do. But by the end there, I was just like not caring, not looking at comments, like not trying to edit. And, that was kind of one of the ways that, VidChops started. It was like, well, I need to get somebody to start editing my videos. I'm not going to do this anymore. How can I create like a system here where I can upload the footage, have some SOPs, some standard operating procedures for my editor. And once I saw that worked, I was like, okay, I want to try this. I want to try to create something, because I had bought the domain name vidchops.com like many, many years ago. And it all stemmed from a book I read. Like I said, in that beginning stage, I was doing a lot of learning. And there was one book called The 7-Day Startup. It's from Dan Norris. And it's actually the same book that the Design Pickle guy, who has a flat rate graphic design company, he read that book and inspired him as well. And after I'd read it, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for graphic design. I'm going to do it. I went and bought the minutegraphics.com. I was like, and then I never launched it. Right. I was just like, no, I'm doing this baller boot camp thing. I never launched it. And then I saw the Design Pickle guy, Russ Perry, do his. I'm like, it's growing, man. And I, watched a couple of interviews of him. Oh, we're at $1 million run rate. Oh, we're at 2 million. And I'm just like, dude, I need to do this. Like, and so I launched it, and it was perfect timing. I mean, after, it wasn't hard to launch. It was a 7-day startup, right? It wasn't too hard. I had a couple editors ready, as well as myself ready to edit. And I created the landing page, created some, checkout process, all that. And I just shared it in a Reddit group, and boom, woke up the next day, first client, over delivered, got my second client. He happened to be an influencer that taught how to grow on YouTube. Right. So we over delivered. He, said, hey, VidChops is editing my videos. And from there, just, there's always a little bit of luck, right, that's involved.
Yeah.
So that was my luck. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gosh, traction comes from, good planning, good, put in the hustle, but at the spark that really makes traction and success happen is luck and a relationship, right?
Yeah.
It's usually a person who kind of sparks it, and it takes you over the line. As you're building, and you've got, you built your YouTube thing, you've had some success there, and now you're helping other people. Do you still create stuff for yourself? Are you getting back into the content creation on your own, or is it now just purely external?
Yeah, I am getting back into the game, just for more of a personal brand thing, for the entrepreneurial journey, because like I said, it's not going to end with VidChops. We have this podcast wings company that we're looking to launch as well, or it's already launched, but we're looking to grow. And I want to acquire businesses too. Like I want to put an operator in that business. It's just, I look at them all the time, right? I'm always looking at different websites to find a good deal, and I find them and I sign the NDA, and I'm like, this is a perfect fit. This is right up my skill set. But then I'm like, you know what? At this point, I don't want to get distracted, right? Everyone says, don't get distracted, shiny object syndrome. So I'm like, let me just keep my head down for 1 or 2 more years on VidChops. This can be something really special, and with podcast wings as well. But yeah, soon enough, I'm going to acquire a business and go from there, man.
Yeah. How many domains do you think you own?
That's funny. That's a good question because I was like the other day I was like that'd be like a cool little YouTube video where I could like go through and talk about all of them, but I got about 18 or 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when domain investing was big, right? Do you remember that? Like maybe 2010 or 11 or 12, somewhere in there. Like domain investing, like gobble up all the domains. I
Oh
know it
yeah.
happened early 2000s, but like we caught wind of it, and there was domain courses and seven-figure domain buyer, right?
Yeah.
I bought so many, and then I had so many like ideas. I'm an idea guy. Sounds like you are too.
Yeah.
What were some of the flops in your
Oh,
content creation history? What were some flops that you look back and you're like, what in the world was I thinking?
there's a lot of them. So the first one that comes to mind is I wanted to build like a YouTube channel for kids.
Yeah.
So I bought a domain name. It was foreverkids.com. I bought a $500 puppet. And I was like, I don't really want to be in the videos, right? Like, I just want to like use a puppet in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I created one video. I was like, this is going to be a huge education company for kids. And made one video. It took me like the whole day, 8 hours just to make it. And never took that. I still have the puppet, but I never took it out again. There's one right there. Another one was mixtapeplanet.com, where I thought, like all these, I listened to rap music, and there was all these mixtape websites, like one's called datpiff.com. There's all these different ones. And I was like, just got into it. And I thought I was going to make a mixtape website. I mean, even to this day, there's some that are like flops, not flops, but just like didn't take enough action on them.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one back in the day. I built a fitness technology company, and I just tried so many different things to get there. And I had like Ab Ninja or something like that, like get cut up or something. It's so dumb, man. I had one for affiliate marketing where I'd like peel back the layers on, the truth of these guru programs, and it was called like Naked Opportunity. It was just so many dumb ideas that I threw at the wall to see what stuck. And a lot of them I'll just keep out there so that way I could remind myself and remind other people like it's going to take a while to find your fit and to try a lot, right? But
Definitely.
you're a coach. You're you spend time and you help people kind of miss all those failed startups because you have done a lot of them, right? So let's just say I come to you and I go, listen, bro, like I got this business over here. I'm a deal guy and I need to start doing video. Everybody tells me I need to do video. I don't even know where to begin. You could help bypass all that startup pain, all that editing shit, right? All the things that sucks, and you could help them get started. Like what kind of advice do you have for that real estate investor who needs to get on YouTube and TikTok and all that other crap? Like what advice do you have for them?
The advice is just to get started. It's just to use the camera on your phone to write a script with a good hook, 3 bullet points. From those 3 bullet points, you can add more bullet points, like sub bullet points, right? And then a call to action at the end, and just to make that first video. Because the truth is that your first video is going to suck. Your second video is going to suck. But in time, around video 20 or 30, like you're going to be pretty good. And then the advice that I always give, because everyone always gets caught up on the tech or the camera or the video quality. It's like, it's not that important. My advice is like, set a goal. Say like, hey, after I'm going to shoot 100 videos on my iPhone. And once that 100th video is posted, then I will go and invest in the camera and spend the money or something like that. Because then you're just like, my only goal is to pump these things out. And you just get so much better in time, and like, you don't have to script it out, just 3 bullet points. If you know what you're talking about, then you can probably talk for 5 hours on 3 bullet points, Yeah. So that'll get you through your first few videos. And the only thing on YouTube that you really need to do is make videos that people will click on and make videos that people will watch all the way through. That's how the algorithm works, is that you got to make high click through thumbnails and titles and topics. And then once they click on it, they got to watch it all the way through, and the content's got to be good. If you do that, then the algorithm will recommend your video and push you out to people so that you can get discovered.
Yeah. I've had some that hit maybe 100,000, right? Nothing huge at all.
That's really solid though.
Thanks, man. it was back in the day when, I mean, there's some ridiculous videos that I put out, but yeah, it was back in the day, the fitness thing, because it was a
Oh,
simple
okay.
thing. I put like how to fill in the blank, right? Like it was a how to, and it was exactly the way the people would ask,
Hmm.
the search. And, that was one of the things that worked really well for me. When it comes to, you said, title, description, image, thumbnail, right? All those things matter. Like if you had to like kind of give, do you guys have like a checklist or some guidelines or something to help people get in the right direction and maybe some advice there?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of said it already, but I'll say it again. And it can get complicated. Like there's a lot more to it, but if you follow these things, then you can succeed without knowing anything else. And that's the first thing is the click through rate. Believe it or not, that's really important to the algorithm. And so the click through rate is three things. It's the actual title, right? The actual words that you see on the YouTube. So that's got to, be a little clickbaity. It's got to be interesting. And then the thumbnail image. And kind of the advice for the thumbnail image is you want to use like a big face, right? Big face is with emotion works well. Arrows on there work well. Text, if you're going to put text on there, you can or you cannot. Then it should be like 3 to 5 words, and it should never be just the title restated, right? You should the thumbnail should never just have text on it that's the title restated. It should play off of the title. So whatever the title is and whatever the text says or whatever the thumbnail is should play off each other to create curiosity. Okay, and then the third part to get people to click is the topic, right? So what's the topic, right? So for example, for basketball, I could say how to shoot a basketball. Okay, decent topic. Or I could say how to shoot a basketball like Steph Curry, right? That's a little bit better of a topic, a little bit more clickbaity, a little bit more just interesting. And that creates curiosity. Like the thumbnail for that could say something like, um, you know, Steph Curry's secret shooting trick, right? There you go. It's a secret shooting trick and they say, I wonder what that is, or the most important thing Steph Curry does, Okay, so that's click through rate. And then the second thing is the watch time. So the watch time is how long people are watching your videos. And the main thing is to hook them, right? You want to hook them at the beginning with a one-liner. And some people, my buddy, he recommends like your first minute of the video should be a hook. Like you should just be hitting them with like, and this and open loop and, teaser here and just keep them watching. And then other than that, it's just the content. Just deliver good value-based content where you're delivering value, and you'll win. You'll win if you do that.
Yeah. As you're going through, this process of building VidChops out, you've done it for yourself, now doing it for others. As you're doing it for others and you take an outside perspective, what mistakes do you find a lot of YouTubers or video content makers who maybe this isn't their full-time career, but they're looking to begin? What mistakes are you seeing?
Just not making content like for the platform. So specifically YouTube, right? Like you can't make a vertical video there. And well, there are shorts, right? But like a long form content there, like make sure your phone is sideways, right? This is kind of like some no-brainer ones. But yeah, all the things like no hook, right? If there's no hook, no value in the video, people talking just too much about themselves instead of the viewer. Like you always want to keep your target audience in mind. Like with everything you do, coming up with the topic, would they find this interesting? No, not really. I find it interesting. They wouldn't. So don't do it. That's kind of the main things. And then all the video basics, like I said, you can just use your phone, right? You can, but you got to have some decent lighting. You got to have some decent audio. And that's about it, So, some people will use their phone, which is fine, but they'll be in a really echoey room. They'll be really far away from the phone. So if you're going to record on your phone, you got to be kind of close, right? Because the microphone's on the phone, unless you use an external one. But just get the fundamentals right, right? Lighting is a fundamental. Getting good audio is a fundamental. Normally, we like to teach having good depth behind you. Most people will sit directly with their back touching a wall. You don't want that. You kind of want to be a little bit out from the wall. That's called depth. Yeah. And so those are kind of the main things right there that I would make sure to avoid.
Okay, sweet, man. So as you're looking at YouTube, uh, and you're looking at the platform, I've heard some deal makers and people talk. They're like, dude, there's millions and millions of people on, creators on there. Like, they don't need another me on there talking about commercial real estate. What are your thoughts there, man? Is there room for more?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, the platform, I don't have it right here in front of me, but you can see like the number of creators and viewers on there. It's just going up every year. It's getting more and more. And the thing about it is that like for me and my basketball stuff, like there was other people and the viewers that viewed my channel also viewed the other guys' channels too, right? But why did they buy from me? Well, it's just because they vibed with me more, right? They just liked me more, my
Yeah.
personality. They could relate to me. They might be a slow white guy themselves, like I am. They'd be like, oh, I could learn something from this guy. He can't even touch the rim, and neither can I. So I want to learn from him because this other guy who's making the same kind of content, well, I can't relate to him because he's athletic. He can, whatever. Um, so yeah, I think, you know, the method is just to find your super fans, right? 1,000 true fans. If you can find 1,000 true fans on YouTube, you can make a full-time income. Charge them $20 a month to give them whatever kind of other value that you can off the platform. And look, $20,000 a month business right there. So you just need 1,000 true fans.
Yeah, that's the turning point. 20K, like who says this? Russell, I think. He says at 20K, he's like that should be your first massive goal. Once you hit that, then you can focus on scale and all these other things. But that should take care of all the pressures of life, financially at least. Um, as you're building out this VidChops, you also saw an opportunity in podcasting. Are they similar? Like, and I'm probably doing this wrong, and maybe there's room for improvement, but like we're recording our podcast shows. We started capturing the video and we just kind of like go, cool, here, copy and paste and throw it to YouTube. Like, what opportunity is there for both podcaster to then expand into YouTube? Because I'm probably doing it wrong.
Well, the cool news is that YouTube just announced they're starting YouTube podcasts. So there's actually going to be like an extra tab you could click on that are going to just be for podcasting. I'm not sure the full details if it's just going to be audio or video and audio or just video, but YouTube is a monster, man, and they are so smart there. They're getting into everything. Now they have YouTube Shorts, so now they're competing with TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, the right way to do it on YouTube is to take a video podcast and then find like a 10-minute segment that's the best 10-minute segment of the whole podcast and snip it and create a video out of that. So, because the thing about it is, and we do this for my podcast as well, is we post the full 60-minute video on there and stuff, but it doesn't perform that well because people are clicking on it, they're watching a minute 30 and then they're doing something else. And so we're not getting that great watch time, right? We're not triggering the algorithm in any way, but you can, I think, trigger the algorithm if you do what I said, right? A short 10-minute snippet, you put it on YouTube, people find it, and it looks like a YouTube video, right? It has maybe a full frame of someone talking, just like a talking head, like we're doing right now. I've seen a podcast called My First Million, which I don't know if you've heard of that one. It's recently got very popular, but that's the strategy that they use. And their YouTube channel has over 100,000 subscribers now. And I watched it grow from, like 10,000. And over the past, not even year, they're up to 100,000. And it's the strategy that they use.
Yeah, it's super smart, man. It's great. Where do you want to see your business go to? So VidChops, you said I'm gonna, focus. I'm gonna build this out. This could be something really special. Like what's the win for you?
Yeah, the goal would be to get to like 1,000 active clients. That's kind of a number I've had in my mind because I'm like, you know what, it's doable. When I launched it, I'm like, look, crunching the numbers, and we charge, anywhere from like $350 to $1,000 a month, depending on how much we're editing. So that was kind of, I was like, if we get to that, then like, we'll have significant scale. Like I would consider that scaled up. And yeah, the ultimate goal, just seeing what Design Pickle has done, getting to over 10 million in annual recurring revenue that'd be the ultimate. If I could ever get there, then I could start talking about an exit or some acquisition, maybe start hitting up Fiverr or I don't know,
Yeah.
see if anybody would be interested. But that's a big goal. We're not even close to that yet, but that'd be the ultimate.
Awesome, man. When it comes to deal makers, right? Like what industries would YouTube or content creation not be a fit for? You're like, you know what? I've seen it, tried it, boring or whatever, or would all work?
Yeah, I can't think of one that it wouldn't work just because the fact that people are searching for everything on YouTube, right? So if they're searching, then that's the ultimate kind of traffic that you want, right? You don't, Facebook ads, they're not that great, right? They work, but it's like, it's one of those things where you're popping up and saying, hey, check me out, right? And so that's cold traffic. If they click on your ad, they're coming to you and they're like, not really thinking about, signing up for VidChops, but I'll check it out. But when people search in like how to hire an editor, how to hire a video editor, right? They're warm. That's warm traffic. So YouTube is the second largest search engine. So no matter what industry you're in, you should be able to find a way to monetize whatever you're doing on YouTube.
Yeah, super awesome, man. Um, so let's do this. A few things like when you're creating content, you say just start with your phone. Get 100 videos out there, put it out there, work on these three, few tips that I gave you. What's like the next level up? Is it, should we start investing in better mics, better lights, studio? Like, what's the progression of YouTube success?
Yeah, I would say like the first thing is like just get your background right. Like when you got the phone going and stuff, get your background right, have it look decent. As you can, if you're watching the video right now, you can see I got the lighting going. I see you got the nice little audio foam on your wall too. Like you're framed up really nice. So that's kind of the thing. Just get framed up. At it, you don't even spend money. Just get framed up, and then the next step would be audio. So many people get this wrong. I see you got a really nice podcast mic right there, like the industry standard, basically. So I would look to improve your audio, and from there go. And the next step is the camera. Now, the camera can get tricky because once you go from the phone to the DSLR or the mirrorless camera, like you're looking at lenses, you're looking at there's a lot of settings that you need. But if you're able to learn and learn that learning curve, then you can create some really good video. It's really hard to say that the iPhone cameras are getting better, but there's like, if you want to get like 10% better from the iPhone camera, then you can upgrade to the DSLR. It's not going to give you like 150% improvement, but it'll give you 10 to 20% better look.
Yeah, my goodness. I started with, the iPhones and then I moved to like I tried the GoPros and then I tried all sorts of different cameras, the 4K, the this K, the I bought more crap trying to figure this out, and I still don't think the settings are right on all the stuff that we have. But we now moved to a mirrorless and just trying to fix it over time. But I tell a lot of people will say, "Man, I need to have all this equipment to get started." I'm like, "No, man. I started with a $20 headset mic from Logitech and a computer, and then as we made more money, we invested in more stuff, and we still need to improve upon it, but." It's a journey, man, but it's for me, it's been the fun part of trying to figure this all out. Let's talk tools. All right. So we talked about, YouTube and, mic or maybe phone or whatever. What are some tactical tools that people can do to kind of make the process a little bit more enjoyable or maybe up their game a little bit?
Yeah, there's actually like a really cool like Google Chrome extension called vidIQ.
Yeah.
And what it does is it just gives you all kinds of insight to different keywords and topics, and just kind of gives you like a quality score. Like when you optimize your video, when you enter the title, tags, description, all that information, it kind of gives you the checklist and says, all right, you're optimized. You're optimized for this keyword. It gives you like a rating. And so that's the one that we like to use at VidChops. There's another one called TubeBuddy that does pretty much the same thing, but we like vidIQ. But all the tools and everything, it's good, but that's kind of like the afterthought, I think. Like everyone's gonna get caught up in the equipment and the tools and never actually get started. So I would not get hung up on that. But yeah, vidIQ is the one that I usually recommend.
Right on. Let's do this. I've got a bunch of cards. So during the interview, sometimes I pull up these cards and I'm like, man, I have no clue what question could pop up out of this. So tell me when to stop. I'm going to read you one of these questions.
Stop.
All right, here we go. And this
Nice.
usually brings up some really interesting thoughts. So, oh, okay. So the question comes around. Um, I gotta say it in a way that doesn't make things too weird. All right. So it says, how should we create success or maybe punishment? Like what are some things that we're doing wrong as a society to encourage, success and to maybe punish criminals, in your opinion? That's a weird one.
What are we doing to create success in our society?
Yeah, what are we doing to not only to encourage success, right? Like to encourage right behavior, but also to punish criminals or bad things. What are your thoughts?
Wow, that's a really tough one. I would say one thing that we're doing to encourage success is we are building technology that allows, people who normally might not be able to, whatever, get on the internet to be able to get on the internet and learn, right? So the internet is kind of like the college killer, right? Like back in the day, you had to go to
Yeah.
college, you had to pay the money to get educated. Like I didn't learn any of this business, like at least digital marketing and online business stuff in college. Like I told you, those all came from the Google search, from the courses, from every day I find myself doing a Google search to learn something new. So I think that the internet has kind of leveled the playing field, and whoever wants it the most now can get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. The internet has opened up opportunity, but it's also created a flood of like, where do I even begin to get information, right? Because there's a lot of information, so you got to kind of sift out as you're as you are looking for information. Because you say I don't watch TV, I don't do all this stuff. I study through YouTube and I learn and such like that. How do you filter out good and bad and find something to follow deeply?
Yeah, it's all about just finding who you want to be your mentor, who you want to learn from, and learn from them. Like I think the worst thing you can do is learn from everybody. Like I think you mentioned Russell earlier. Was that Russell Brunson you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like there's a guy right there that I've learned so much, and it sounds like yourself too, right? In the digital marketing world, like just those 3 books that cost like $10 each, and there you go. Like you have everything you need to start an online business. That's kind of my thing is like when you go to learn from somebody, like just say like, hey, have they done it before? Do they have any past record? Because you will find people teaching you, how to grow $100,000 business that have never made $100,000 online. So just be selective, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So let's do this. Augie, where could people go to connect with you, do a deal with you, and what does that even look like? What does a deal look like for you?
Yeah, so you could reach out to me on Twitter at Augie_Johnston. On Instagram is probably the best place,
Yep.
at Augie Johnston. Shoot me a DM right in there. I check my DMs. I'll check the other folders too pretty often because like it'll get lost in that like spam folder on Instagram. But I check those too, and I think everyone should. Like a lot of times you're getting spam in there, but sometimes yeah, I would say like some people will pop up like, hey, I love what you do, and yeah, and if you need help with the video editing stuff, vidchops.com is where you can learn about that.
Yeah. So give us an overview of like what would be what would be like the perfect group that would deploy you, right? So it's like if I'm doing this, and that this is how best to use VidChops.
Say that one more time.
Yeah. So what would be like the ideal customer for you, or the ideal group where it's just like it's a perfect fit? Like I've had enough success or enough traction. Now I need to bring in an external team, or what does that even look like? At what point should people use
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, it's normally the people that already have success, right? Like
Yeah.
don't come to VidChops if you're like, I'm looking to start a YouTube channel, because you're just going to burn money paying for your editor, unless you have another business behind that, right? That can kind of fund your YouTube channel. But if you don't have any revenue coming into your business, like probably not a good fit. But anybody else, we are a good fit. We also offer a white label solution. So agencies will come to us and they'll say, hey, I'd love to, get all this editing, off our hands, get it out of house. We have this two in-house editors. We're paying them 70,000 a year. Like, what can you do? Like, it's a really good solution to give them like a brandable project management tool that they can use to kind of monitor their clients. And yeah, it works well.
Yeah, super cool. So VidChop is a good place to do that. Now, during this interview, there's probably questions that I should have asked you that I completely screwed up and did not ask you. What question should I have asked you?
Um, hmm. That's a tough one. Maybe a little bit about my podcast journey.
Tell me
I don't
about that,
know.
man. Yeah, that I love talking podcasts. Tell us about your podcast. Which one is it?
Yeah, so I'm on my third one. So I started a podcast for Baller Boot Camp, my basketball training one, many years ago. It was a solo thing I was doing, but never took off. It did okay, but I kind of just, when I gave up Baller Boot Camp, I stopped doing that as well. And then during COVID, when the quarantine started hitting, I was coaching. I was a varsity basketball coach at that time, and or still am. And at that time, my buddy's like, "Hey, we should start a podcast. Do something productive with our time." So we started like a coaching basketball podcast. Did that for over a year. We were proud of ourselves. We're like, "Yes, we did it a full year. We're consistent." And then we stopped. And now I have another podcast. It's called the Video Creator Podcast.
Cool.
And that one I'm really excited about. I have a co-host who has a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers. And yeah, that's kind of like, once we started that, we were like, it's a good time to start the podcast Wings one and help people with that as well. So, yeah, so still looking to see some success there. We're growing. Like my whole thing with my podcast, and I don't know if you do this too, but I look mostly at the audio numbers. And all I want to see is upward trend, right? So every month I just want to make sure I get more downloads than I did the month before.
Yeah.
If we do that, then I'm like, okay, everything is going as planned. We go from, we're not getting a lot. Maybe we're at, maybe 500 to 1,000 a month right now. But as long as the next month's a little bit more, then we're good to go. And we're just going to keep plugging away.
Yeah. Nah, super awesome, man. So what is that business that you help with podcasters? What is that called?
Yeah, it's called podcastwings.com.
What made you think of that name? That's an interesting name.
Well, there's actually a little bit of a story there. We launched it as podcastbuddy.com. Speaking of domain names, I bought that domain name for $800. And then because I'm not the smartest person, I realized, wait a second, there already is a company called Podcast Buddy that does the exact same thing. What am I thinking? I didn't even do a Google search on the name because I was just so excited when I found the domain name was available, bought it. And so then we went searching for another name, and I just like, Podcast Wings, I like it. Give your podcast wings and watch it take off. Red Bull gives you wings. I'm like, I like the wings. I could brand that. Like, that's a pretty cool thing. I can use that, some images, and we can play off that. So yeah.
So the idea is to give some podcast traction. So what do you do over on the podcast side? I'm curious.
Yeah, it's very similar to VidChops. We edit audio and video, upload. We can take care of, if it's a video podcast for YouTube, we can do the thumbnails, the titles, the tags, all that. Just trying to create like a done for you type solution for podcast creators that don't have time to edit and do all that.
Awesome, man. And that's podcastwings.com.
Yes, sir.
Super cool. Fellow deal makers, as you're listening in, definitely want to encourage you, like, to create some content if you're being drawn to do that. And it's sometimes it's scary getting in front of the camera, and you get that when that red light goes on, you forget everything you're going to say. But I definitely want to encourage you guys to do that, especially if you're feeling like called or drawn to do that. As always, reach out to our guests and say, hey, I'm growing my stuff over here. We got some traction. I need some help on my podcast. I need some help on my YouTube. Reach out to Augie and say, hey, I heard you on the Deal Scout show, and I want to learn how to apply this to my deal making business. And if you in the audience have a deal that you'd like to talk about here on the Deal Scout, head over to thedealscout.com, fill out a quick form, and maybe we'll get you on the show next. Love you guys. Talk to you all on the next episode. See you guys.